Galaport Beach, Galatea City, Galatea, Lyran Alliance, May 13, 3064. Silver spume surged on the pitching black waves of the inland sea, casting flecks of foam that mirrored the froth of the Milky Way stretched taut across the vault of the sky. High tide breakers surged along the beach, cresting and falling in the darkness splayed before the ruins of Galatea. Stars once lost to sweep of spotlights and neon noise shone down on the doomed city, sweet and silent. A wave swept up to the beach, washing over a broad, rounded green stone with a gentle hush. Then another. But as it receded, a dim red glow flickered in the shallows. Then, the thrum of a fusion reactor, and the stone lifted out of the water, betraying it as the disk of a Jenner's battlemech's forward chassis. Steeped in the red light of his cockpit, Jackson Al-Najjar could appreciate the poetry of a quiet moment. But he'd spent his Friday staring at wet sand. It was time. The Jenner dipped into the ink of the waves. It took smarts to be a good recon pilot, and that he was. It was smart to catch the Word of Blake transmission, smarter still to keep it from Oyabun, and it was brilliant to cut his power and fall into the waves during the Swordbreaker's desperate charge for Galaport. If Yajima and the rest of the boys wanted to make themselves hunted pirates, good for them. Half of them were Yakuza anyway. Slowed and buffeted by the currents, his Jenner pushed through the water like a suited diver for the backside of Greycliff Island. Rounding a boulder, klaxons sounded as sonar targets locked from a half-dozen torpedo emplacements fixed on him. But none fired. Definitely the right place.
Welcome, McWarrior.
An acolyte cooed, somehow taking over his comms without hailing for a channel. Spooky. Very Blake.
Please keep your weapons unpowered and proceed up the ramp.
Water tumbled from the Jenner's sloped sides as it punched up through the waves into a gauntlet of ivory white sentries, radiating silent menace in strange forms. His sensors flickered, the computer reciting new names for mechs he didn't know. One almost looked like his Jenner, with a low-rounded head flanked by weapon pods on bat-canted legs. A Raijin. A skinny humanoid like an Axeman on a diet, Buccaneer, the computer said. A fat, squat Grand Crusader bristling with missiles waved a handless, laser-barreled arm towards the gigantic white egg of an Overlord dropship on the tarmac.
Welcome to Blake's Embrace. As promised, you may now board Toyama's Wisdom. Power down your mech in Bay 5, and an adept will escort you to our contract negotiator.
Nothing in the universe was free, of course. Word of Blake wanted to use him, and it looked very much like they were getting ready for serious business. He'd use them to get out, with all the loot he'd picked up over the year. Then, he'd be legit. Why be a pirate when you can make out like one? The bay ramp draped in floodlights opened down towards him, revealing most of a company of other battered gang members, survivors, and mercenaries huddled in the ship's belly. Galatea City, Galatea, Lyran Alliance, July 2, 3064. Gravel crackled and scratched under her heavy black boots as Lee Dongmei clambered up the pile of rubble that had once been her office. Shattered concrete sheets piled atop each other, and rusted rebar hands groped for the sky, skeletons grieving for a safety long past. Her space had been on the second of 5 floors, Spartan but tidy. A sleek desk, a mini fridge, and a hot plate. In the closet, a bunk and her clothes. She sighed, resting her thumb in the sleeves of the black windbreaker tied around her waist. She'd wondered if there was anything left to salvage riding into town on Rookwood's convoy the previous night. But she'd need a backhoe and a sieve to serve that hope now. The thought of asking Rookwood himself flitted across her mind, but she put it aside. Rookwood was already talking to the Duke about demolition and reconstruction, and Group W about ancillary technical support at the same time. Black Sparrow would be far too busy to humor Maudlin's sentimentality. Mostly, she'd hoped for the memory box with her medals and memorabilia, from the Cossacks, Rubinskys, and the Canopian Fusiliers before. Lives passed. Oh well. She'd everything important. Her network, her knowledge, her computer, and her accounts. Everything a girl needed to start over. She stretched, her neck popping under the sunlight, and turned a circle to take in the rubble. Compared to what she'd seen from her mercenaries' battle ROMs recorded during their raids, the city was starting to look better. No active burning and smoke, for one thing, and signs of life. The market in the neighborhood square with small piles of vegetables spread out on salvaged tarps. From her perch, even Group W's gray stippled mechs were taking distance from the city, patrolling the edges of suburbs. The militia had taken over security, mostly, but the battered police ground car rattling past suggested the constabulary was being reinstated. She hadn't seen any signs of her mercenaries, though. Not yet. Group W had shut down the planetary net to keep the gangs from coordinating as soon as Duke Nowakowski had given them free rein, so she hadn't gotten a message to or from anyone outside the nest since. Rookwood and Black Sparrow had done what they could, but there could be no doubt that whoever they ran into, the fighting had been vicious and brutal. Rumor had it, Group W had linked up with one of the few legitimate surviving contract holders still on planet. It could be her friends. There weren't many of those around, so maybe it was her friends. They'd been tactical and professional throughout, a good fit for Group W, assuming they didn't get lost in the last days of the conflict. But if her mercenaries were still alive, well, serious people who wanted serious work done knew Li Dongmei, because Li Dongmei knew serious people who could do serious work. And next time she saw them, she'd have another contract ready to sign.